Says Major John Madden, Tuxpan, Mexico, at a little beach resort called Playa Azul. This beach is called Playa Azul, and I call it a people's beach. It's off the beaten path. It's in between Tampico and quite a ways short of Veracruz. There's no ocean liners. I guess it's a pretty big port here in Tuxpan. The Mexican fleet is based here, the Mexican Navy. But it's not a place where Americans come for resorts like they do to Veracruz. And my dog Magic is occupying himself. He wants to go for a big walk, but Bear is not into a big walk. Bear was recently very injured and is nursing a broken hip that is healing. But he's not into a big walk. And one of the challenges of our life these days is, how do I give Magic what he needs, which would be a big walk. And probably in a little while we'll take Bear back to the room, and Magic and I will go for a long walk. So this is installment 3 about firing people. When it becomes clear to you that someone who has been maybe quite important in your life, maybe very helpful at some point, at this point is dead weight or an albatross around your neck. I'm going to talk about my sister-in-law, Alicia. So we were in each other's lives for a long time. My brother was married to Alicia for probably 35 years, something like that. So we knew each other a long time. I always knew we were really different. Although she's my generation, basically just a few years younger than me, she really developmentally and psychologically is more like her Depression-era immigrant Ukrainian parents. Non-psychological. And really quite negative. An extraordinarily negative person in many ways, whose attitude is to tell her daughters why something isn't going to work. Always was. And was extraordinarily judgmental at the younger daughter, who had a real time of it getting her life together. But she had gotten a degree in interior design, fashion, women's fashion in New York. She went to Columbia School in Chicago and did a term in New York with the top fashion designers. And at this point, she was managing 2 different high-end, she wasn't doing the design right then, but she was managing 2 really upscale women's clothing places in Chicago. And she was leading a kind of a wild lifestyle, partying a lot on the weekends. But her parents were still treating her as if she was a mess, a failure. And I interviewed her in front of them, saying, Alana, managing 2 different stores, I bet you run personnel, you run hiring and firing, and payroll, you have to do all that stuff. How'd you learn how to do all that stuff? Because that's very detailed, hard work, because I was a management consultant myself, I know that. She said, well, I just buckled down and studied and learned what I needed to learn. I did some more of that in front of them to make the point. Are you even noticing the extent to which this girl has grown up and is a success, and you're still treating her like she's a fucked up teenager? So that was kind of the dynamic between me and Alicia. Early in my knowing her, the movie The Big Chill came out. And that movie literally was about my college class, the class of 68. Somehow in the movie I could identify that. And I really identified with those people, the way they were later in life coming back together for the death of one of their friends. And still trying to still searching, growing, searching, trying to have rich, alive lives. And I said something to Alicia about, wow, I love that movie, because I heard that she had seen it. I hated those people. When will they grow up? Yeah. So, in an earlier tape, I talked that parting of the ways with my writing coach Nina happened around the Will Smith thing. Because I was very active in Facebook defending Will Smith. I really identified with him and liked what he had done. And Lisa's response to that was, he needs to grow up. No willingness to try to understand the other person's point of view. When she doesn't understand somebody else, she judges them ferociously. So I said to her, Lisa, that's your attitude towards me also. It was when that movie, The Big Chill, came out. I knew you thought I must be one of those people who doesn't know how to grow up. And now that I've left my apartment behind and I'm traveling full-time in a van, I think it's an incredible voyage of discovery and adventure and excitement and hard work and challenges and some really difficult times, including I don't have enough money really to do it. But you basically saying that to me, that it's irresponsible and childish and why don't I just get a job again? So in addition to that, my brother's been dead 5 years and he had a really successful lawyering career and died and left you penniless and nobody understands where the money went. It was terrible and it left you in a terrible situation and you're overweight and you've had to get a job where you're on your feet all day in a grocery store and painful, you deal with pain all the time. For a long time, she wasn't anymore at that point. But he's been cold in the grave for 5 years and you're still hating him. Somehow you got to learn to forgive. But I don't think you're good at that. No, you're good at judging. And judging me, and I'm done. I'm over you. You have to go away. And I dropped her. And was it through that period? Sometime during that period, my favorite niece, Laura, her older daughter, who's been a success all along, she was the success. When the two girls split, with the one being the one who I think Alana was showing the dynamics of that family. She was showing the pain of the family. And Laura, meanwhile, soldiered on and was hugely successful and is a terrific person. But somewhere during that period, I don't know what it was I had said that caused her to say this, but she said, don't ever say anything bad about my mother. So maybe that's where she split with me, because she and I had always been tight. We always really loved each other a lot. And for the last 3 years of my travels, there's been not one word of support to her. I reach out to her on Facebook. I say nice things about her life and appreciative things. Never a response, never anything. And it was recently during the very gut-wrenching period of 2 weeks when I didn't know if this dog was going to live or die. I said something that gave her a chance to criticize me, and she did, big time. First self-initiated comment I had gotten from her in 3 years was to tell me I had really was kind of a terrible person with my dog, who I loved so passionately and was working so hard to keep alive. So, fired her. I said, clearly, something has gone on where you've decided you don't like me anymore and you're not talking about it. If you want to talk about it, let's talk. I'll talk with you and see if we can't learn something from that. But if you're not willing to talk and all you want to do is stand back and judge me like your mother does, that's it. No, I'm not carrying you anymore. I'll bless you. I appreciate and honor your life and what you're doing with yourself and the way you're raising your two daughters. I think it's terrific. But I'm not going to bother supporting you anymore, and I'm getting off Facebook again. So I won't bother to unfriend you, but I just am not going to pay attention. I'm going to get on with my own life. Heartbreaking to me, because I adored that girl from a baby. But I had to. She's not just dead weight. She's a very negative presence in my life, because I know she's lurking in the bushes judging me. I don't need that. No, go away. Go away. I'm not going to tell her to fuck you like I did with my friend Tom. But go away, please.